talk of the town right here. Inspired Nutraceuticals FSU Serum, a cell volumizer. This is a liquid glycerol based supplement with some extra bonuses as well. Strap in, let's have a little discussion about this because we have a lot to talk about. So over the years, glycerol has been added to pre-workout supplements in order to maintain hydration. It increases osmotic pressure across cell membranes and can basically help you hyperhydrate your cells if you take it with enough water. Now here's the thing though, in those powdered supplements, we can't put a ton of glycerol in there. And to make glycerol, which is a liquid, also known as glycerin, same thing. To make it a powder, it needs to be spray dried against something. And a lot of times that's gonna be silica. There's other ingredients involved too. So 5 grams of like NMB Nutrition's Hydro Prime isn't necessarily 5 grams of straight glycerol. It's like 65% glycerol yield. So you're at like the 3.25 grams or whatever amount of actual glycerol. Now, if you go through the studies, why do we care about this? Well, first off, a lot of the trained people watching this like it for the pump aspect. You drink a lot of water, you get like not only the nitric oxide pump from some of your dietary supplements, but you could get a little bit of like what we call the cell hydration or the water pump. And it works pretty well for that effect. However, if you look at the research where they're studying actual endurance athletes, and there's a lot of studies on this, they use like monstrously high doses that you're not going to get in a scoop of pre-workout powder. And that's what Inspired Nutraceuticals is trying to match up against here, is they're saying, listen, if you actually want to look at like the clinically reviewed supplement doses here, they're like 20, 40, 60, it gets even higher, grams of glycerol. You're just not going to do that unless you're doing scoopful of dry glycerol powder. At that point, it makes sense to go for liquid if you're trying to actually match that hyperhydration state of the actual studies that were done there. Additionally, on this channel, I looked at a lot of those studies and I noticed that there's actually reduced urine output from taking, from those studies where they were doing glycerol hyperhydration. And the teams that were using glycerol were not urinating as much. So I actually proposed putting some glycerol into a sleep aid. And we had a fun video about that. I have a blog post about that where we dig into those studies. Again, not only was the endurance better with glycerol, and glycerol is providing some calories here. It is carbohydrates, sugar alcohol specifically. So that was one thing to consider, but it increased endurance in the studies, but it also led them to urinate less. There's a lot of cool stuff. You're retaining more water here. This could be really useful during a long workout. If you're working out in hot heat, it's getting to be summertime. This is April of 2023 right now. Or you just don't want to be peeing all the time, or you take some before bed. You don't want to be peeing in the middle of the night. Now, obviously, if you're having like prostate issues, hit me up. We have a whole different slew of things we could talk about there. But so there's like a mask for that, but it can help you retain water. That's the whole point. Thing is, you need legit doses. So Inspired comes out with FSU Serum. And in addition to the 20 okay, so in 1 tablespoon, we got to get this out because I think I've been using wrong amounts when we first had this at the Arnold talking to Landon. This is my tablespoon, right? 1 TBSP, okay? 1 tablespoon is going to have 10 grams of glycerol. The full serving size is 2 tablespoons. And so we'll do one of each here. And so 10 grams of glycerol, 10 carbohydrates, but they've also added my favorite, potassium, as well as some sodium. So you're actually getting a legit amount of potassium. 125 milligrams, 2% daily value, and then 100 milligrams of sodium, 4% of your daily value. And you're getting some betaine nitrate, an extra gram. Inspired Nutri uses a lot of nitrates. They have a few different versions that they're using in some of their supplements. FSU powder is their stimulant-free pre-workout. So that's why it's called FSU Serum. I don't know what FSU stands for. You could drop a comment below. And then, so this is the trademark form, 99.7% pure glycerol, 10 grams of it, GlycoClear. And then we have the gram betaine nitrate and then salt. So let's taste the 2 flavors, Galaxy Pop and Lemon Strawberry Dream. See, I'm telling you, you can use it for sleep aid. Most people will not do that, but give it a shot, seriously. Dr. Cameron Sapa, who's been on our podcast a couple times, we got a 3rd one coming eventually. He texted me, he said, hey, I watched that video. He tried it. And not only did he have better sleep, he had like lower heart rate variability as well. I wish I had my knife on me. I should always have my knife on me. Now, it doesn't say to shake this. I've been kind of shaking it up in here. Now, most people are going to throw it in the cap. I'm here doing a scientific review. We're going to use this whole tablespoon thing. I have a towel below me. We'll talk about that later, so I don't spill Galaxy Pop. I like it. It hangs with you for a little bit, but that was an easy 10 grams of glycerol. They do a good job sweetening it. You could taste the sodium, you could taste the salt, a little bit of extra something from the potassium, which to me is well worth it. Potassium doesn't taste good. Let's be honest. Potassium gluconate, which no one uses because it's only 20% yield, that's probably one of the better tasting ones. This uses which one? Potassium citrate, which is the next best tasting one. If you ever use potassium chloride in like the low salt, it's not that good. So glycerol has like a slippery feel to it. I mean, soap's made with glycerol, you know, all right? So there's a slippery feel to it, and it's hanging with me, and now it's dissipating now, but it'll be there for a minute with you. And then overall, I like that flavor. I think that this is that was the best version of liquid glycerol I've had yet, but I haven't had this flavor. So it's got a nice little tab here. Okay, same 1 tablespoon, but we're gonna go with the rounded side here so that we don't mix our flavors together. Oh, okay, this one's more salty. I like it better up front. It bites a little bit harder in the back, has a little more salty. Lemon Strawberry Dream, not bad. It's a little bit more aggressive. I'm going with Galaxy Pop. There's a lot of ways to deal with this glycerol thing. First off, I mean, it's not a totally necessary thing. The glycerol is like the backbone molecule of our triglycerides. Our bodies can produce plenty of it. It's fine, but when you do add more, you get some pretty cool effects like I talked about. Back when we started using glycerol, like we're just gonna go down memory lane here, glycerol monostearate was used. 25% glycerol yield, and it clumps so bad, especially for the companies who are down in Florida. They won't even touch glycerol sometimes. And then for anyone who's just like had their tub open for a little bit too long, stuff was just not good enough. It's bound to stearic acid. I'm a fan of stearic acid, big time, but it belongs in meat. So anyway, then we switched over to higher yielding forms of glycerol, but they still either didn't spec out or they still clumped. Ben and I pushed NMB Nutrition to create Hydroprime glycerol, which was a better, more stable 65% glycerol yield, and so we've been pretty happy with that. So you can work on getting glycerol to be better, but you're still not going to get to like 20 grams like it just took. It would have to take 30 grams of material. That's going to be like a protein scoop size. So the next option is to do other fancy stuff with glycerol, such as in 3D Pump, which is in, I believe, FSU powder from Inspired. And so 3D Pump, they're actually using the citrulline, I believe. They're using the citrulline to actually bind to the glycerol, and then they don't need a silica carrier. There might be like a little bit of tapioca starch in there or something, but overall, it's not like this huge amount of silica. And they also add in the amla extract, which is probably the secret weapon in the 3D Pump studies as it is. And we're hearing good things about the new study coming out for that. Hopefully FSU powder continues to have it. I don't know. And then finally, you could also just go with the third option, which is liquid. And if you want to go high dose, I think this is where it's at. So I'm less interested in like worrying about a little bit of silica. If you take powder supplements, yeah, you're getting silica in nearly every single one of them. The bigger thing is, if you want to match the studies, you're going to have to go with a bigger dose. If you want to like really retain a ton of water, 4 tablespoons of this, and then you're in like clinical study territory and see how it goes. If you're finding yourself drinking a ton of water, but you're like losing your momentum in your squat sets because you got to go to the bathroom, and then like whatever, the music's changed and stuff, try this. If you want to mess with the sleep thing, try this for sure. In addition, you have the nitrate here, which we haven't even talked about as much, but that can also increase nitric oxide levels, which might also help with some stuff at night as well. You might think I was referring to erections, which is true too. I was actually thinking about sleep too. So if you get a blood pressure lowering effect from the vasodilation caused by nitric oxide and all that, then sleep is sometimes improved with lower blood pressure as well. That's actually what I was referring to, but there are other effects as well. Anyway, we've had fun in this video. I am a fan. I'm holding the Lemon Strawberry Dream, but for me, it is the Galaxy Pop, and I'm happy to report that I did not spill any glycerol on the ground. And then if all else fails, you'd have to look up some recipes online. You could possibly use glycerol in here. I'm not sure if the other ingredients would mess it up. You could use glycerol to make homemade bubbles. So that's what I've done with other products that didn't taste as good as this one. I'm not making any bubbles with this one because I like this one. Anyway, check it out. Check out that sleep video I made and the blog post. That's about it. We'll hand it back to Ben because I've kind of lost the plot here. But no, I'm a fan of this stuff. I think Galaxy Pop tastes. This is the best liquid glycerol I've tasted yet, and I'm pretty happy about it.